necesito más. Te crees mucho, lo sé. O bien que te digo, sé. Pero hay más en Instagram. Si tú no quieres beber, tengo fila hasta 3. No te necesito más. Te crees mucho, lo sé. O bien que te digo, sé. Pero hay más en Instagram. Te crees mujer de lo que eres, pero en el mundo lo que a mujeres me la creía. Hasta ese día que me engañaste, ¿qué más?
Reciclaba amores y estabas tú. Te necesitaba, ya no fueron tantas.
You want it though?
Where do I begin? I see the hate, they don't wanna see me win. Bank deposits, I got more coming in. Top down, throw the money in the wind. I don't want it all. Heard he scammer, had to switch up the accounts. Moving paper, gotta call it my account. It's all in, I can have it coming out. Been through the struggle, I can see another drop.
Yeah, it's not a purse, it's a merch. 6 figures was a gold, now it's 9 or a hearse. Put it work. Used to pull up, not swerve. No time for the snakes, time to put them in the dirt. That's word. I gotta get it, it's in my DNA. You only see the highlights, don't know what it takes. Last year stressing, got no sleep. Now I'm right between the courts, out of nosebleed.
I see the hate, they don't wanna see me win. Bank deposits, I got more coming in. Top down, throw the money in the wind. I don't want it all. Heard he scammer, had to switch up the accounts. Moving paper, gotta call it my account. It's all in, I can have it coming out. And through the struggle, I can see another drought.
Yeah, same circles to the same gang. We just get to it, we don't gangbang. Lost some friends to the same thing. Keep a low pro when we maintain. Find us in a lost somewhere, kicking back.
Hey guys, welcome to the 5 F's to Love, and you know it's Saturday. Listen, we're going to wrap up this season in this series. So listen, this is no commercials tonight. You know why? Because we got to go through and make sure that you got what they were putting down. So let me bring in the finance guy. We got Forrest. We got Santana. We got Mordecai. Guys, I don't even know. I'm going to miss you. No Saturday nights with you.
We're going to miss you as well. This has been an amazing experience, and I want to thank Santana, my guy, my best friend, and Forrest. Boy, I'm telling you, this has been amazing. I've learned a lot. I've had fun. We've laughed. And I want to thank you, Christine, also for this amazing platform to be able to highlight information that our community needs, that we need to have these conversations.
Yeah.
Oh, you guys are so welcome. I've had a great time. So, folks, I'm going to tell you right now, we're getting right down to it because we got stuff to cover. So, to wrap up this, guys, I really want to make sure that everybody has a clear understanding. So I'm going to start with you, Santana. How would you summarize the financial steps provided over the past couple of weeks that would shift the mindset from spending money to saving and making more money? How would you summarize it?
Well, first, I think you have to understand where we're going as an economy, that interest rates are high enough. It's imperative that you get back to the saying we started this with 6 months ago, is getting back to a budget and making sure at the end of the day that budget provides you the avenue to have adequate reserves, because the cost of money is very expensive right now. So it's best for whatever you need to use your own money. So I know, in the financial world, some people hate it, but we're going to keep saying budget. Get adequate reserves. And then, the great thing about having adequate reserves and savings now is that you'll have opportunities to get things at a cheaper price if you have cash on hand. Mm-hmm. One of the things on an off note, they said this is the highest in the home buying era where people are paying cash.
Yeah.
And that's misleading. And far as you can attest to that, they're just doing, most people are now doing a loan against their investable assets, and they're pretty much financing their own home purchases. And because that, it's better to pay yourself back than pay someone else back. So
that's right.
but those are people that have saved and accumulated assets. And now in this market, when money is high, and what I say about that, we used to teach what is the cost of money, and the cost of money is whatever the interest rate is.
Mm-hmm.
And so right now, even in cars, they have tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3. And for younger people, they're just automatically putting you at tier 2. I saw an interest rate yesterday. A young man was making a decent amount of money, but he's tier 2 because he hadn't had established credit. And he's going to pay 8.5 to get a car. And so when you get to thinking about that, like you're getting from a house perspective, you're paying more money and getting smaller home.
And that's true.
And that's, it's just where we at today. But those that some people can't even afford a mortgage. But those that have saved in previous times and have, the investment accounts with people like Mr. Forrest, they can come in and say, man, I want to do a line of credit against, my assets, and hopefully the market doesn't drop where they have to do a margin call, but that's for another day. But they're able to get the cash out, get a line of credit against their assets, and go and get the house of their dream and not be impacted by the instability of today's time. So save, budget, be smart with your acquisition, and wait this season out to know that seasons come and go, and when interest rates are high, our government has a responsibility to correct the high interest rates, and they're doing it, and to stabilize the economy by hitting all the levers they're hitting. But it takes time. I mean, we were during COVID, things were crazy. I mean, people were buying, and money was being at such a rapid pace that it kind of threw things out of whack. And so now we got to come back
and start saving.
Yeah, get
so
things.
Folks, you guys heard it from Santana. His advice to summarize is basically to save, save, save. And if you can wait it out, just wait it out. What about you, Forrest?
So, yeah, I'm gonna keep it short and simple because Santana just hit it.
Yeah.
Listen, budgeting is important. Yeah, we are in what some would call bad economic and financial times right now. It doesn't really matter. Good times, bad. Listen, there was a dream interpreted in the early part of the Bible: 7 fat cows, 7 skinny cows. When things are good, you need to be setting stuff aside. So when things aren't so good, you got something to lean on. The old cliche right now, cash is king, and it literally is. So my son is he's trying to buy a vehicle. His problem right now is he can't get General Motors to make the car. He's trying to order a vehicle. He can't get an allocation to have the car made. Santana, you hit the nail right on the head. His interest rate is 8.5%. We went and checked on it last week. Not because he has bad credit, because he's never had credit. So you know what we're gonna do? We're gonna he's gonna buy a brand new car with cash. That's what we're gonna do.
Smart.
And since he can't get an allocation, he got more weeks to save more cash. So he won't be broke after he purchases the car. Not that he'd be broke anyway, but cash is king. Generally, when I'm dealing with a client, I talk about an emergency fund. An emergency fund can be used for what you deem an emergency is. And I might say 3 months minimum, although I seldom say that anymore, but 6 months for sure. Times like now, I'm more along the lines of 6, 9, or 12 months. Times like now really drive home why you need that savings of cash. Cash is king right now. If you can get credit, money is not only is it expensive, but it's hard to get if you can even get it right now. So I'm going through the ringer to get something that's difficult to get, and that ultimately long term is going to put me deeper in a hole. Whereas that same item that I'm trying to finance, if I got cash, I may be able to get it at a discount because I have cash.
All right, folks, you heard it first and second. You got to take care of that budget. You got to save, hold off if you can, because time is going to flip and it's going to go back to pretty decent interest rates. But the bottom line is you got to go back to the beginning of this podcast series and get your budget together. What about you, Mordecai?
Yeah, I talk to a lot of people now, and one of the things that they're coming to the realization that they don't have their life. They're not living the life that they really want. They're working, they're not happy. They're working long hours, and they want options, right? And what this podcast has offered folks is a way out of the bondage of I got to get up and I got to do this over and over and over again. And so, for me, it's about, securing the house.
Mm-hmm.
And when I say your house, I'm not just talking about your physical location, but your life.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's important that, we had a couple of holes in our roof. And my wife kept telling me that she kept hearing sounds in the roof. And I'm like, oh, it's squirrels running on top of the roof. That's the snow melting or whatever it was. So we finally called somebody out. And lo and behold, we had a hole about this size. I mean, the squirrels, the rodents, they was just living upstairs rent free. You understand? And so that happens a lot of times in our financial life, is that we want to close our eyes to the noise. We close our ears to the noise and the noise of not being able to make the choices, not being
Reverend speaking tonight
that you want to do. And so we'd rather walk around blind and act ignorant, and we're not happy. And so there is a price for stress. There is a price, poverty. There's a price for it. And so when I summarize this, it's about getting your smile back. It's about being able to lay down at night. And hey, now what we did, we called in the contractor, they buttoned up all the holes. So guess what? It can rain, the rodents can run around, but guess what? If you don't come through the front or the back door, you're not getting in this house.
All right. Mordecai, I like that. So folks, if you got a hole in your finances, you better get ready and get it together. You got to plug up that hole, get your budget right. You got to save. Don't be buying anything you think you need right now. All them little I need. No, you don't need it right now. They're saying hold off, let the time turn, because you got to make sure that you got your hose plugged in. Now, folks, y'all know everybody's been trying. Y'all been talking about multiple streams of revenue and all of that. Y'all are financial geniuses. So how do people do that? I need someone to speak on if you're self-employed versus someone who's an employee. How do you create multiple streams of revenue? It's up. Who gonna hit the self-employed?
Well, hey, I'll let them handle that, right?
Oh,
okay. Okay, Forrest, are you gonna take self-employed versus employee?
So multiple streams of revenue, be it self-employed or employee. Like in my line of work, I first have to make sure that it's not a conflict of interest and that it's something else that I can be engaged in. You want to make sure that you're not creating another job versus a stream of revenue. You really want to look for things that are going to operate effectively and efficiently, whether you are present or not. Case in point, I had a client reach out to me, and he's in the process of contemplating purchasing a car wash. A car wash is you drive up to, you put your coins in, you rinse your car off, you soap it up, you take off. He doesn't need to be on site to make sure that thing runs the way it's supposed to run. He needs to make sure the water is on and the last man out needs to turn the lights off. His son does that. So when you say streams of revenue from a broader perspective, if you have an occupation, a primary business or a job, you want to make sure that this second stream or this alternative stream of revenue, you're really not creating another job for yourself.
Okay.
But hey, if that's how you're getting it in, that's how you're getting it in.
Okay. Santana?
And I think when you look at this, I have like two other businesses. And what I try to do is make sure that one that is diversified, that is, if one is down, the other one wouldn't be down. So I would say make sure that they're not interrelated, because the goal of having multiple streams of income, if it's one is trickling, the other one is flowing. Yeah, so you don't want all your streams trickling at the same time. So you want to make sure that in your pursuit of multiple streams, that diversification is something that you're looking at, and make sure that if like that you don't want everything down at the same time. You don't do that in investing, and you shouldn't do that in your portfolio of business or passive income opportunities. Because as you get like Forrest just stated, as you get older, you need to have more passive income. You don't need to be there every day.
Right.
And you've accumulated money. Now you want to take that money and make it work for you where you're not working for it anymore. And so you're looking for things that you've done your due diligence. First, let's put that caveat that you've done your due diligence. You've done performers. You've talked to people in the industry. You've talked to people that are doing it, and they've told you the pros and the cons. Not just tell the person the pros, but they've told you the cons. And you've looked at your risk profile of what you can do. You've looked at your cash flow, and you know this is something that you can pursue. One of the dangers that I've seen over these years is taking money out of one company that is doing well and using it into the other company with the dream that you're going to pay the other company back one day. And so you can, cash is king. You get involved in one, tie the cash from the company that's doing well. You tie that cash up to do another company that's taking a slow time. Then you got a cash crunch. And so you just got to be careful. But the opportunities are out there. If you do the work, and then trust it, understand it's going to take 2 to 3 years before a cash flow at the potential rate that you desire. Be willing to stick it out. But if you're a real business person, you've been through this routine before. You've seen it before. You know you're penetrating the market. You know there's going to be doubters. You know you're going to doubt yourself. But if you stick to it, in the end, you'll win, and you'll get the multiple streams of income that you desire. And that'll put you in a more comfortable place. Because when you say multiple streams of income, I don't think people are trying to say how to get rich. I think they're trying to say how to get comfortable and not be nervous about tomorrow, because you got several things working for you. So if it's one is down, the other two are up, you're still doing well. So that's it.
I'm going to tell you guys, if you didn't get that part, you got to go back and rewatch this again. It's not about getting rich. It's about making sure that you have continuous ongoing revenue coming in. Now, folks, we're going to get into the speed round. Each person's going to have approximately 2 minutes to answer each of these questions in the speed round. The first question in the speed round is, what suggestions do you have for people that are not financially savvy but know they need help? Mordecai, I'll start with you. You got 2 minutes.
Just raise your hand and reach out to, like Forrest and Santana, someone around you that is winning. And, people are oftentimes willing to give advice, and find those around you that are winning. Reach out to a financial advisor, reach out to an accountant. I have a couple financial advisors. I have accountants, right? And, I have multiple conversations with them about various things, and I'm able to gain a better perspective. So reach into your community. Most banks have a relationship banker, a community outreach person at many of your branches. Walk in there and talk to them. Get that free information. A lot of times they have workshops, right? They have all kinds of tools in the community, and so that would be my advice. And I'm telling you, and they'll connect you also to other resources. And I find that when you ask for help, you tap into resources that you didn't even know were there. So you're never out of the game. Just raise your hand, get hungry, and walk into these institutions and ask questions.
I love it. Forrest?
Yeah, Mordecai said a mouthful, and I don't have much more beyond that to say. I like to get straight to the point and keep it simple. Listen, Dave Ramsey has a saying, when you get sick and tired of being sick and tired, you're going to make the necessary moves to stop feeling that way. As a young man, what I thought I wanted, I looked out to the folks who were in my sphere. I saw somebody who was doing what I felt like I wanted to do. I approached them and asked them if we could sit down and have a conversation. the fear that was combated for me to do that is what ultimately has brought me to this point. Find somebody who you feel like you can talk to, ask them if they'll sit down and have a conversation, get you a pencil and a notepad, start taking down notes. Find somebody in your church. Most churches has financial professionals in them. Interview these people like your life depended on it, because it does. You got to trust them.
Mm-hmm.
Once you identify the individual whom you trust, get some folks around you who are going to hold you accountable and move out smartly. Get it done.
I love it, Forrest. And folks, I will say this to you, it's going to be painful. You're going to have to cut back on the things that you normally do that are soothing to you. That if you're the person that thinks every time Saturday rolls around, you should be in the mall, it is going to impact you. You're going to have to make some life changes. But like, Mordecai and Forrest said, folks, you got to shift your mindset. So in order for you to do that and start to gain some financial wealth, you got to turn things around. Okay, our next question is, what steps would you recommend to people to take and begin moving towards being debt free? A lot of people have a lot of debt. So what's one thing that you would tell them, or two things that you would tell them in order to get them to go and get moving in that direction?
Well, I'm gonna start this off because some years ago I went to Forrest, and I said, hey man, I didn't really go to have a debt-free conversation because I have a different kind of understanding of debt, right? You've got business debt, personal debt, consumer debt, right? And so I was talking to him about something that was stressing me out, and it was a rental property. And this rental property, I was attached to it emotionally.
Yes, indeed.
I had rented it out, and it didn't go the way I thought. And so I'm holding 2 mortgages, and it was breaking me. And my advice to people would be, where are you experiencing the most stress in your finances? Yep. You might have to make a decision, like I'd had to do, is to let the house go. Now, for me, it was failure. I felt like that was failing, right? And I was going to do everything I could to fight, to save the house, to get another renter, do whatever I needed to do. And Forrest was like, it's costing your life.
That's right. You about to win. Let it go.
This is impacting your health.
That's right.
So let it go.
So let it go. And I was like, man, you crazy. Ain't nobody letting no house go. You wouldn't let your house go. You know what I'm saying? That's what I was saying. Forrest, you wouldn't let your house go, but you advising me to let my house go. But the more I thought about it, the more I said to myself that you can always recover. Mm-hmm. So I just tell people to start with an area where you're experiencing the most stress or the most failure, and begin to get hungry about winning in that area, right? Mm-hmm. And so that to me is just something practical. Some people, I have a lot of young people, they are just stressed out about the student loan debt. I mean, it's crushing them. And so I ask, quite frankly, is this something that you really like to talk about, or do you really want to get it off of you? And if you really want to get this off of you, then you might have to move out of this expensive loft.
Yep, go back
home, downtown. And you, like you said, we out every Friday, every Saturday. Mm-hmm. So let's not talk about this if you're not willing to make the moves to get it off of you. So, again, where are you willing to make the sacrifice? If you're not willing to make the sacrifice, then let's not talk about it. You don't want to be debt free.
I love that.
Those that want to be debt free, look, make the initial move, and you will feel so much better.
Folks, y'all better listen to Mordecai, because I'm going to tell you, I built a whole patio outside just so I can have my own summer oasis, because I don't always have to be at a concert or doing this or doing that. Mm-hmm. Sometimes just being at home watching an outdoor movie with someone I want to spend my time with, to me, is much more important than anything else. And guess what? I didn't spend $300. By the time you get dressed, you put gas in your car, you get the car clean, you buy new clothes, you got the tickets, you didn't spend close to $1,000 on a night out.
That's right.
On a night out. That lasts literally maybe an hour and a half. And then you boom, you just blew almost a grand. So folks, you got to start thinking about where you want to be and what you want to do. So our next question in the speed round is, you guys, this is the thing that always gets me. And it's always about, y'all know what it is, that credit score. People want to know, how can they get their credit score together personally or professionally? What's your suggestions?
So I'm going to start with this one. If you take care of the personal credit score, that will enhance the professional credit score.
Okay.
How would you increase that score? Stop using the credit that you currently have and start paying it off. Don't talk about it, be about it, and pay it on time. Listen, paying it on time, paying it on time, paying it on time.
Why does it sound like y'all was getting ready to sing a song called On Time?
Mordecai, I don't think they heard me. Paying it on time.
Yes, because they treat you like you are a slave. If you miss that payment and you 2-3 days late, they talk to you like you're a child. Making that payment on time. So when you talk to most financial advisors or credit repair, they'll tell you the power of automatic payments because you might forget. And so set up automatic payments and have your payments come out automatically so that they're always on time, and write down the amount of your debt. We worked that through with one young man, and he was assuming he had more debt, just how he felt. But when we looked at it on paper, it wasn't that much debt. And we saw where he could begin to pay it on time. And then I asked him, and this is another one, who reports every 30 days, who reports every 60 days, and who reports every 90 days. Don't pay a 90-day person first and not pay the 30-day person. So you have to find that out. Who's reporting, when are they reporting, and who are they reporting to? Equifax, TransUnion, Experian, right? Lexus, Nexus, and all this kind of stuff. Find out, is it a West Coast, East Coast? Because one is on the West Coast, they don't report everything, and others are on the East Coast. So find out when are they reporting, the frequency of their reporting, and get a free copy of your credit report and sit down with your financial advisor and say, how do I do this?
Start knocking them out.
Yeah. Here's another little secret too. Understanding how the credit scores are calculated is big. And I don't want to get into the calculation of credit scores, but there's something that can help everybody. Knowledge is king. It's powerful, right? Usage of your available credit is important. Meaning, if I have $10,000 available and I've used $5,000, that's going to hurt my credit, even if I'm paying it on time. Even if I'm paying a little more than a minimum payment, the fact that I've used 50% of what's available is actually going to hurt my credit score.
Well, can you break that down for us though? Because a lot of people need to know how a bank sees that, or a financial institution. Basically, you get paid, you get a salary, and I've extended to you $10,000, which means you basically spent all your salary, and now you're reaching into money that you don't have, and you're 50% over leveraged. That's a big deal.
Mordecai, thanks for that. That's a good way of explaining that.
That's one of the ways they look at it.
Yeah.
If you've used 50, 55, 60, 70, 80% of what's available, really what you're saying to the lender is, I don't generate enough income to do what I need to do, and I'm actually using this to live off of.
Exactly.
They don't like that.
No, they don't
like it. That's frightening for them.
Listen, and that's when you get the high interest rate. So again, if you got 2 credit cards, whatever you got, make sure that I say 95% available at the end of every month. Make sure that when that lender looks at that, this is what you want. You want them extending your credit limit to try to get you to max it out.
Exactly.
Less than 14%. I was sitting with a young fella trying to do what Mordecai has suggested. Hey, why don't you set these up on auto pay? And he was very resistant. And as we kind of worked through the conversation, I found out why he was resistant, because he don't always have the money in his checking account to make the payment on the day that it's set up. To which I said, young man, that means you shouldn't be using the cards. You got too much credit.
You got too much.
You shouldn't be using them.
You're overextended.
In his mind, that was his safety net, right? The credit cards was his safety blanket. I'm like, no, they're smothering you. They're actually hurting you. You can't afford it.
For one of the things that I noticed that help a lot of people credit, and I think we should really explore this in the next coming shows in the next season, is that whenever a person goes through underwriting their credit, they really focus on their credit. And maybe we need to just have a underwriting.
That's a great idea, Mordecai.
Right? Because when you're trying to get a home, They tell you, don't you buy nothing. You pay
That's right.
everything
Right,
on
they
time.
do.
You increase your savings. Don't you pull out of your savings account.
Right.
And what happens is the reason why you get approved is because your credit, right?
And your cash.
And your
That's
cash.
right.
So
You
I
can.
think what we need to do is, and we've been talking about this, is a mock underwriting exercise for our listeners
I
to
like
help
that.
increase their credit score and increase their cash flow and their savings. So that's what I got, Christine. I got a
I
buy.
love it.
I want to say how much
I
I enjoyed
realized.
this.
I'm
But-
sorry. I'm sorry,
so-
Mordecai. I realized a long time ago, banks are more apt to loan you money if you can prove to them that you don't really need to borrow the money.
That's it.
And you know what? I totally agree with you guys. And I'm going to tell you right now, this is supposed to be 30-minute closeout. So we got to go to our 90-day financial challenge. Folks, this is your 90-day financial challenge. So you guys can get ready. Here we go. For the summer, you're supposed to post on the 5Fs to Love social media sites, any of them, any bills that you pay off this summer. Post a 30-second video saying, I did it. I'm on track to getting my money right.
All right.
So we're looking for you to do that. And we're going to see you back in September, the second week in September, the 5Fs to Love, entire cast, all the shows are coming back. We're just going on summer break. But while you're in summer break, please watch all of the previous podcasts so you can look at how to get your money right so you guys can be ready for September. Forrest, is anything you want to leave the folks with?
No, I've really enjoyed this since January. I think we've put a lot of pertinent and very good information out there. Listen, when I gave my life to Christ, he met me where I was at. And where I was at was not in a good place. Financially is the same. You can't get your financial life together and then go see a professional. It's making the decision to go see the professional is what's going to help you get it together. Or making the decision to do things different. The definition of insanity is what, Christina, doing the same thing over and over again, yet expecting a different outcome.
Yep.
If you don't like where you're at financially, decide where it is you'd like to be. Let's start with the end and work our way back. What do you want the end result to look like? Find some folk who can help you identify that. There's some action items that need to be put in place for you to get to that destination. Once you identify those action items, readjust the way you think and process information. See, our thinking drives our actions, and our actions lead to our results. So start with the end in mind to get the action and the thought process in place, so you're not spinning your wheels doing the same thing over and over again. I think this has been awesome. I'm going to enjoy my summer, but I'm looking back to coming back in the fall to kind of expound on what we've been talking about. It's been a pleasure working with you. I think you're awesome.
Oh, thank you, Forrest. It's been a pleasure working with all you financial experts. And I'm going to tell you guys, they help me get my finances together. So everything they tell you, I do. I'm in the process of paying off my student loans. That's what's left. And just a few other little small things, but then I'll be ready to go. So folks, you know what? I'm getting my money right while you getting your money right. Forrest, I want to thank you, Santana, and Mordecai for coming on board with the 5Fs to Love podcast. It's definitely been a pleasure. And folks, we got some great stuff coming back for next season. So be ready, because it's going to be bigger than what you think and even better. So enjoy your summer, guys. And Forrest, enjoy your summer. I'll see you guys soon. Have a great day.
All right. I'll talk to you. Have a good evening.